Good evening. The May 21st, 2019 meeting of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners will come to order, and we are pleased to have with us this evening our Fire Chief Scott Spencer to lead us in our invocation. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledge to the flag.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we have so many blessings to be thankful for, and all of those blessings are from you. We thank you for each and every one of them. Lord, as we enter into this meeting, I ask that you place a hedge of protection around our commissioners, give them guidance, give them discernment, give them wisdom in the matters that come before them. Lord, I ask that any decisions made will be made that will be pleasing to you, and we just thank you for the opportunity to come before you. And it's in your Son's holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Fire Chief Spencer, thank you for being here with us this evening and leading us in our invocation. And good evening to the citizens of Douglas County. We value your voice and we appreciate your participation in county government. Clerk, I believe you indicated we have no public comment tonight.
No, ma'am.
Okay, with that being said, Board of Commissioners, I'll move to the approval of the minutes. Board of Commissioners, you have the commission meeting minutes of May 7, 2019, work session minutes of May 6, 2019, and the executive session minutes of May 6, 2019. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions that need to be made?
Ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Being none, the minutes stand approved as presented. Next, we have a proclamation, which is tab number 4. We have the proclamation proclaiming the month of May 2019 as Mental Health Awareness Month in Douglas County. And we have our Director of Operations for the Community Service Board here, Ray Lightford, to read this proclamation to the Board of Commissioners tonight. Thank you for being here, Mr. Lightford.
Thank you. Proclamation, Douglas County Board of Commissioners. Douglas County Mental Health Awareness Month. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and whereas all Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives, and whereas prevention is an effective way to reduce the burden of mental illness, and whereas there is a strong body of research that supports specific tools that all Americans can use to better handle challenges and protect their health and well-being, and whereas mental illness are related and prevalent in our nation, and whereas with early and effective treatment, those individuals with mental illnesses can recover and lead full, productive lives. And whereas outside of all criminal justice systems, each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organizations, and citizens share the burden of mental illness and has a responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention efforts. Therefore, the Douglas County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim May 2019 as Mental Health Month in Douglas County, Georgia, and call upon the citizens, government agencies, corporations, and small businesses, organizations of faith, as well as public and private schools and universities in Douglas County to recommit our community and participate in pre-intervention education and training to increasing awareness as well as understanding of mental health, the steps of our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental illnesses at all stages. So proclaimed this 21st day of May, 2019.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lightford, for coming in and for taking the time to read this mental health awareness proclamation, and also thank you for acknowledging this important occasion regarding mental health awareness in Douglas County. Board of Commissioners, before I call for a motion, do we have any comment regarding mental health awareness?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Robinson.
Yes, I won't belabor the moment, but again, mental health is something that we as the Board of Commissioners have been promoting for the past, I want to say, 4 years, since 2015, and it began at Roger Bruce's Sweetwater State Park Catfish Rodeo. And that's when I began to promote this within the community, to bring people to a mental health awareness forum. And we had it right here in Citizens Hall. And that was the very beginning. That was the prior administration, but that's when we began to make this push with mental health. We had the DA there. We had judges. We had, juvenile judges. And I remember that time it was brand new, right? We didn't have the things we're talking about today as far as, stepping up and stomping out and all the things that come with mental health and things. At that time, it was brand new, and we were just having a conversation. And it's been encouraging to see this walk in its expanse, where now people are becoming more comfortable with it. And while we've got a long way to go, at least we're moving to a point where we're actually putting financing behind this and expanding capacity. It's not just about intervention, it's also about prevention. And so we'll talk about this a little bit later, but Madam Chair, I just want to acknowledge us declaring this. It's about, there is mental illness, but there's also mental health, and they go one in one. And so thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing this proclamation to go forth. I yield.
Okay, thank you so much. Any other comment from the Board of Commissioners? With that being said, Board of Commissioners, I will call for a motion. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve the proclamation regarding Mental Health Awareness Month in Douglas County?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by casting your votes. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries. So thank you so much, Mr. Lightfoot, for reading this proclamation. And would you please come up and take a photograph of the Board of Commissioners? Thank you.
Okay, ready? All right. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you. Again, thank you so much, Mr. Lightfoot. Next, Board of Commissioners, we'll move on to new business, which is tab number 5, authorization to approve a contract with Consuela Gilchrist as Senior Services Director. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your votes. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries. And thank you, Board of Commissioners. And the contract to move forward with Consuela Gilchrist is approved, so thank you. Tab number 6, reappointment of Steve Shaddix to the Board of Assessors, effective immediately. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve this reappointment?
So move. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your votes. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries. Board of Commissioners, we'll move to tab number 7, reappointment of Brandon Penniman and Teresa Knowles, and the appointment of Frank Payne and Alvin Robert Thomas to the Planning and Zoning Board, effective May 31st, 2019. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your votes. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries. Tab number 8, reappointment of Pat Fulgram and Maureen Linden to the Animal Control Advisory Board effective June 5th, 2019. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve this reappointment?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your votes. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries. All right, Board of Commissioners, next we'll move on to the consent agenda. All items are subject to final legal review. Tab number 9, a resolution in support of the Census 2020 and to form a local complete county committee. Tab number 10, authorization to approve a revised intergovernmental agreement with the City of Douglasville to install a northbound right lane on Highway 5 at Douglas County Boulevard, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents subject to final legal review. Tab number 11, authorization to approve $450,000 for additional services for the Douglas County Community Service Board and amend the budget. Tab number 12, authorization to approve a sewer easement and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 13, authorization to approve the purchase of replacement audio equipment in Juvenile Courtroom 2 for the sum of $19,905.95 to be funded through the Department Cost Center 190. Tab number 14, authorization to approve a contract for Edwin Ford as senior chaplain, a newly created position at Douglas County Sheriff Office, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Tab number 15, authorization to extend the ground lease agreement for Sheltering Arms for an additional 5-year period, and authorize the chairman to sign all necessary documents. Tab number 16, authorization to award the painting of Woody Fife Center to U.S. Painting for a total cost of $17,980 and amend the budget. Tab number 17, authorization to approve the implementation of a community garden agreement by the UGA Cooperative Extension Department of Douglas County. Tab number 18, authorization to approve a funding agreement with the Atlanta Regional Commission for the update of the county's comprehensive transportation plan, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. And finally, tab number 19, authorization to accept a grant in the amount of $10,000 for Keep Douglas Beautiful's litter prevention program. Board of Commissioners, that concludes our consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on any particular topic or item that's
Yes,
listed?
ma'am.
Okay. Vice Chairman Robinson.
Madam Chair, we bring Miguel Valentin, Director of Transportation, down to talk about.
Okay, Director Valentin, would you please come forward? A few questions for you.
Two topics we talked about in our meeting today on our transportation. The first one is number 18. Let's start with that one, Miguel. Give it a little clarity for that one, please.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. The Atlanta Regional Commission funding agreement is something that we normally would want to see every 5 years. It's been a total of, I believe, 9 years since the last time the plan was updated, and this agreement will facilitate the flow of federal funds to the county to pay for 80% of the cost of that process. The comprehensive transportation plan encompasses all of the different modes of commuting and transportation, including transit, including bikeways, trailways, and obviously roads. So this will allow us to take a look at certain corridors where we have experienced issues or we have deficiencies. Highway 5 comes to mind. Chapel Hill comes to mind as well, and others. So this will allow us to take a look at the entire county and reassess whether the plan that was adopted in 2010 is still viable, is still on track, if you will, or if changes are necessary, and then that report will come back to the board for adoption and recommendation to go forward to the Atlanta Regional Commission so they can incorporate it into their regional plan, as well as the Division of Community Affairs at the state.
Okay. Thank you. And I won't belabor this. This is something that we have been anticipating, we have talked about. I want to clarify that you did say it was an 80-20 match. Is that
correct.
accurate?
That is correct.
And what is the exact amount, just for the record?
The federal fund amount is $500,000. The local match is $125,000.
Okay. So 500,000, 125. During our Transportation Committee meeting today, and in addition, County Administrator, pay attention, two things happened. It was acknowledged that the Finance Committee made a recommendation for $125,000 to be added in addition to what you've asked for, to ensure that we're able to expand our transit component, which is our 5 current mobility options plus anything else. We're not trying to duplicate the efforts, but we're just trying to simply enhance what we currently got on the books. And I just need that to be acknowledged for the record. County Administrator, can you confirm that, please?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. Miguel, can you confirm that?
Yes,
Your understanding?
absolutely.
So what we've done is, in addition to what he's asked for, he has an additional 125 that he is authorized to go to the ARC and ask for the match. And we can even perhaps get less than that or more than that. So we're just letting it be known for the record. That's all I had on that one, Miguel, but hold tight. No, I'm going to move on, Miguel. I'm good on that. Thank you. Madam Chair, I'd like to now bring Ray Lightford up for number 11. Those are the only 2 things I want to talk about.
Okay.
And then I'll yield to my colleagues, please.
Good afternoon,
Good afternoon.
Madam Chair, Commissioners.
Can you talk about number 11? Though we've talked about it exhaustively, can you just hit the highlights for the record, please?
Most definitely. So once again, in Douglas County Community Services Board trying to establish its own organic administration as well as expand services delivery here in Douglas County, we had some financial restraints that have limited our growth based on old contract practices between us and our sister Cobb County. So moving forward, these revenues will go directly to staff enhancement, upgraded systems that can be used throughout the county for integrated health care, mental health care, and also establishing our administrative framework.
All right. I won't belabor that. So what we're asking for here, this is what, $450,000, which is a one-time at this moment, or what's being asked?
So we are asking for the initial $450,000 for the rest of this fiscal year. Our fiscal year, once again, is from July 1st through June 30th. And we will be also requesting an additional $450,000 for 5 consecutive years. We do believe that we may not need it for the full limit of the 5 years, but around year 2, we'll start to see that our gap is closing up through our fee-for-service funding as we create these new programs. And so that's kind of what our plan is as far as the step-down process.
Okay. So, and just for clarity, because this has been asked before, and again, I'm all for this. I'm all encouraging. I just want to lay down the foundation as we reappropriate and make public health and welfare something as a priority for this county. I mean, this is a big commitment in which we're encouraged by. There was 2 previous appropriations by the full Board of Commissioners, $200,000 to went to mental health, specifically housing for Judge McClain. While you're working with him on homelessness, that money is not included in this. Is that correct?
That is correct. Right now, Judge McClain is devoting that revenue to the structures and to establish the safe housing for the individuals. We have taken the burden to give the treatment with that. And so it's a twofold project where we both have some ownership in that project going forward.
All right. And likewise, to my fellow Board of Commissioners, I appreciate you guys also put an appropriation of $50,000, which we allowed to sort of supplement you until we got to this place. But likewise, you committed yesterday that you would be open and willing to work with us to fulfill those grassroots effort for that as well?
Absolutely.
Regarding mental health and working, whereas before we used to use CORE to facilitate that, but we're using you as a conduit mechanism. Is that accurate?
That is correct. We are here to help our community in every facet of behavioral health, and that's both mental health and substance abuse treatment, as well as homeless placement. It's our vision that we'll be viewed throughout the community as the #1 provider, and also that connecting piece of tissue that streamlines all of the services throughout the community.
Okay, so you hit dead on. Last year, we were less satisfied, I'll be honest, with the service providers that got awarded that grant, which is why we talked to you. And one of the things we wanted to focus on was both children and homelessness. So I'm encouraged to hear you just say that, because I didn't lead you with that, but that's something that we would like you to focus on. I don't know if you've met Mr. Charles Branson, but I think that's something you perhaps need to talk to them about what they're doing, especially with the school system, because we have a lot of homelessness regarding our school-age children. So just make a note of that.
And I would be remiss to mention that Mr. Branson was also part of the discussions with myself and Judge McLean. And we are working now on the transition program for the individuals that are currently living in Titt City to come and get their behavioral health assessments and start treatment. So that was an additional piece that we have been working with.
Awesome. You're already ready to go. Madam Chair, I'm excited. I yield back.
Okay, thank you so much. Commissioner Guider, I believe I saw your hand.
Yes, ma'am, and while Mr. Lightford is at the podium, I'd like just to address a few things. During the budget process and everything, we hear over and over the need for mental health facilities and programs, because mental health problems is really bogging down our judicial system. And we've heard that over and over, and I went and visited your facility. I was very impressed with the professionalism in which y'all have each category broken out to where you address many things, even drug addiction. And but my problem has always been in the middle of a budget year. And you can understand we don't keep buckets of $450,000 back here. And I'm going to ask Michelle, but before you leave, could you tell us what y'all do with HUD?
Absolutely. So we have a partnership with HUD, where HUD does reimbursable funding for us to place individuals with serious mental illness and substance use addiction. And so basically how that program works is that we go out, we put the leases in our names. We house these individuals through subcontracting through multiple apartment complexes, 8 to be exact, between Lithia Springs and Villa Rica and Douglasville in the middle, and 8 houses that we actually purchased back in 2001. And so what we do is that we accrue the cost, the expenses for maintenance, the rent, the utilities. HUD reimburses us back for the rent and utilities portion, but the additional costs are on us. And as these apartment complexes change their rules, and we have one complex that has, I guess it's called cardiac garbage service, that may be about $40 a month. We accrue those costs to keep our individuals homeless, and that's just something that it's the price of doing business. But right now, I believe that we have a total of 147 individuals that we house, 80 of which are adults with serious mental illness. The remaining are their children or their loved ones.
So you own 8 houses, is that what you're saying?
That is correct.
And you also use apartments and places like that
Yes.
to house these people? Do they, more than one person live in a house, or?
Yes. All 8 of our houses right now are occupied by single mothers who have at least 2 children.
Okay, all right. And I would just ask if Michelle could come up. My interest right now is really the financing part of it.
Not a problem. Thank you, Commissioner.
And you can understand that this was not included in our budget. And we just borrowed $18 million and $2 million set aside for specifically to make up shortages for our matching funds for transportation projects, and then some for this and some other things. Is there going to be any problem paying off $18 million at the end of the year without raising taxes?
No, ma'am, there won't be any problem with that at all. The tax anticipation notes are issued based on your projected cash flow, and you are allowed to borrow a cushion for unforeseen circumstances.
Okay, now, we do have a fund balance. What is our fund balance at the time? I don't guess we can use our fund balance for this.
It would actually
You have-
hit, it would, when it hits a budgeted item, it will have to hit the budget, so it will come from fund balance.
It will come, so what is our balance as of now, or this month, or
I'm drawing a blank.
approximately, I guess?
Can I pull the Finance Committee report?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure you can.
And as I said before, there's no problem funding something like this. It's just making sure that we can fund it. And that's what I'm just kind of looking at, to make sure we're taking it out of the right funds. Because this is coming out of the general fund, and it was never anticipated in our budget. So I just need an estimate, if you have that. Does anybody else know? Mark, do you know?
Well, before this.
fund balance.
Now, while Michelle's looking up the exact number, it was right at 10%.
Right at 10%. So we have 10% of the expenditures set aside right now. We're at what? Is that 10%? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am, it should be.
Because I thought we had 8 or 9 million.
Well, what happens is, at the first of the year, your expenditures are steady throughout the year, but the majority of your revenues do not come in until the end of the year, when tax revenues come in. So for a good portion of the year, your expenditures do exceed your revenues, which causes your fund balance to take a dip.
Okay, but we will, by end of the year, when we collect the taxes, we'll be able to pay the $18 million off and retain at least a 10% fund balance.
Yes, ma'am, we should be able to. We'll
Without
definitely be
raising
able to-
taxes, without raising taxes.
We'll be able to pay the tens off with no problem.
Okay, all right, thank you. But that's all I wanted to say about that one, but I just want to go back to number 10. That intergovernmental agreement with the city, we had already approved it, but it had a sunset date out there of at the end of this year, which there's no way we would get that intersection completed by then, so we've extended that, and this is really just a revision of that agreement. Is that correct, Miguel? Yes. All right. And something that Commissioner Robinson, you said something that happened in transportation. What was the 125? I'm sorry. I didn't get what you said.
No, but you have the floor.
Huh?
You have the
Oh.
floor, so.
Okay, could I get Commissioner
Yeah.
Robinson to explain the 125 again?
Yes, absolutely.
It just happened today, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. County Administrator, two things. For the full Board of Commissioners, in the Finance Committee, and this is to address Madam Guider's previous question, there was a recommendation for the use of the $2 million, and there were specific dollar amounts and specific buckets. Are you prepared to make that known publicly?
$2 million for what?
To Mark?
Yep, are we required to make it known publicly?
Yeah.
Is that the question?
No, I'm going to do it this way. All right, so in our Finance Committee, the Board of Commissioners, our Finance Committee is making a recommendation up for, out of that $2 million, $450,000 will be used for CSP right here, one-time appropriation. Another $125,000 will be used for IT/website that will be moved over into Rick Martin's to deal with our website upgrade. And the final one dealt with our, just now what we're talking about, GDOT expansion 125 for the ARC grant for the CTP. Those were the allocations. The remaining amount of money was left for any other allocations or unexpected things that came up, such as pensions.
Yes, sir, but the third one was for the transit portion of the CTP, correct?
I did say
Okay.
I said that. All right. So I want to yield back to you. That was clarity, no, that was the clarity of the fund, so that's what that was tied to.
What is the amount for the transit? I just want clarification. Is this for additional funds for the bus system?
Not less.
No? You said transit, okay.
CTP, capital, guys. I
Capital-
can't weigh in because she has the floor. Can y'all help her staff, please?
So the 125,000 additional funding was recommended for a transit study as part of the CTP, the Comprehensive Transportation Plan, which is in addition to the Comprehensive Transportation Plan.
So we're gonna pay AARC to do a study?
Yes, ma'am, that was the intent.
All right. All right, it's just that when things fall on us at the last minute and we don't know what's happened, it's confusing because we have a vote just like everybody else up here, so we have to be careful how we vote. So I yield back.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Guider. Any other discussion?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple, yes. Number 11, we're going to go back to number 11, if we would, please. Thanks for reiterating the whole 450, where it's going, what we're doing. But earlier to yesterday, or was it yesterday, that we asked about an organizational chart. Were you guys able to pull that off, or am I pushing it too? 'Cause I thought you was going to get it to me right when I left, and I was running out the door with it, but I didn't get my hands on it.
It may have been a misunderstanding, Commissioner Mitchell, but I did send it up to Madam Chair's assistant earlier this morning for you to review and to go out to all of the commissioners. So I'm not sure what
did we
happened.
get
Why you
that?
didn't receive it.
I don't think I
Did
did.
she lay anything? I believe she made copies, Dion made copies and put them on your desk, all your desks.
Okay.
Did you send an email to their personal emails? or-
No, I just sent it directly to Dion so that she would be
Okay.
able to disperse it appropriately.
Got it. Okay.
So I do apologize for that.
Okay. But in the future, just maybe send it to the county manager, so that way we kind of make sure that because I didn't see it. I was running out the door anticipating to have it, so I could have actually at least had an idea. So with that being stated, can you kind of enlighten us about that makeup then? So since I don't have it.
Sure. So if we look at our treatment staff, it breaks up in a few categories. We have our community service support staff, which is about 20 individuals that make up of case managers. And these individuals are going to individuals' homes. They're assisting with identifications, transporting them to and from, supportive employment, job skill building, all of those intricate things like that. So then our next level of clinicians is our therapeutic staff, which are our group leaders, along with our individual therapists, and that number is 6. And what those individuals responsible for are those individual psychotherapies, skill building, as well as family therapies and counseling, and we do also have children's play therapy within that group. And then that last tier, you'll find will be your actual prescribers, which are our 2 psychiatrists and our nurse practitioner. And their responsibility is for medication-assisted treatment, as well as monitoring and evaluation and management of the client, so that they're going through the walks with them and adjusting as changes happen, and also to respond to any adverse reactions from medications. And so that's it. And then we have a very small administrative structure with myself, COO, and myself, a CFO, and then a current Chief Quality Assurance Officer.
Got it. Okay. Okay, that's good to know. I just kind of would love to have had that with me, so I could have actually put an eyeball on it and ask any other questions. But right now, it's just one of those, I got to just accept what you said and understand, because I would like to have made this a part of what we're dealing with. And I know it wasn't no concrete numbers. I didn't want any numbers associated with it. I just want to know kind of what the makeup would possibly look like, that's all.
Gotcha. And Commissioner, I do apologize. I left off a whole branch, which is our developmental disabilities.
See,
So off the top of my head, yes, I do apologize, because we also have a total of 12 staff that provide transportation as well as direct service support and nursing services to our individuals with developmental disabilities. And we have 3 host home contractors, which are those ladies that provide care throughout life as loved ones have passed away,
Right.
and those individuals need homes to go into.
Okay, and I know we talked about this earlier too, though. You will work closely with CORE and Judge Bo McLean and a host of others that we can kind of holistically take care of Douglas County versus thinking individually of what's mine and what's not mine and what's yours.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we have a one-track mind when it comes to treatment. That's a citizen, and so no matter what walk of life one of our citizens is going through, we want to be on their shoulder.
Right. And last but not least, though, I know Commissioner Guida talks about this whole budget situation, and this is why this was a tough one to kind of swallow. But I commend this board for at least taking a hard look at this particular project and understanding that I thought the marriage was Cobb and Douglas, which, as we all know, didn't exist. So where we are is where we are, and we can't ignore this particular situation, because if we do, I think we'll either pay in advance or pay prior to this, or we'll pay in the back end of it and use our Taj Mahal jail trying to house and deal with this type of situation. So I'm glad that this board really took a hard look and understand that this is serious, and it's something that we need to address, and it needs to be addressed quickly. And you talked about how down the road we will start to this change from the state funds or grants and all those things will eventually offset this number. Can you reiterate that number, or around about when, whether it's a year, 2, or 5 years down the road, even though we're vested now, moving forward?
Absolutely. And so the way that the state funds mental health is fee for service. Basically, you get paid for what you do. The way our initial setup was between the 2 counties, we had no services to render. They were all contracted to our sister county. So the numbers were skewed. Our citizens were going outside of the county to receive health, therefore the revenue was going outside of the county for the actual reimbursement. By us being able to now use these funds to go and establish staff and create new programs, what that will in turn do is to get the eye of the state to realize that we are now providing those services here within these county lines, and that number will start to increase because they will see the true number of what we're actually doing, and that number's always been masked.
Right.
So we project that that's a very smart group of individuals at the state who will be able to see that, you know, 1 turned into 100 across the board, and they'll be willing to go ahead and really invest into our programs. But that initial cost is on us as a community to show that we're willing to fight for our individuals that are
Right.
suffering from mental illness.
Absolutely. And I task my colleagues to definitely speak with their representative from the state, from the senators, on the governor, and any time they have that opportunity to kind of have a conversation with these guys to reassure that what you're doing doesn't go unnoticed. Because I think it's very important where the dollar and that buck hits from the state level, at least, that they acknowledge that we're trying to take ownership of what we thought it was as to what it really is. So
Absolutely.
thank you again. That's all I have on that end. Just
Thank
one
you,
other
Mr.
item, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Item 15, and this may be more of a Mark question. I missed out on this one, the authorization to extend the ground lease agreement for Sheltering Arms for additional 5 years.
I can address that
Oh,
if you need
if you
me
would,
to.
please, okay.
In 1999, the county entered a long-term deal with Sheltering Arms, it's a nonprofit, for a ground lease on Longview Drive, I believe. I can't remember the exact address. They've been there for years. In the agreement, they have 10 options for 5-year extensions. They're exercising an option. They pay $10 a month, I want to say, plus their utilities. The agreement was entered into long before we came around, and it's a rollover type deal with no exit other than the long-term deal.
Got it. So the only thing we're doing is extending it for another 5 years at this point.
Well, technically, we call it's really them exercising an option to extend.
Exactly. Got it.
We're just acknowledging their 5-year, so this will run through 2024.
Got it, okay. All righty, outside of that, I think That's all I've got, Madam Chair, so I'll yield back.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Mitchell. Commissioner Carthen, I believe you had something to add.
Mr. Lyford, you're going to get your exercise today, aren't you? Yes.
How you
Thank
doing,
you so
Commissioner
much. So I have a couple of questions for you. One, can you explain to us if we did not grant this $450,000 in order to allow the CSB to continue, what would happen to the individuals who are under your care?
Well, and I'll try to be non-biased when I explain this. So the individuals that are currently in our care, what would happen most likely is that we would have another CSB or another county CSB come in and take over our services. Normally how that happens is that anything that we own or possess would be absorbed by that new county and become their assets to go ahead and continue to provide those services. But that community connection would no longer be there because our board would be dissolved. So that's one realistic thing. As it pertains to our individuals that are in the HUD housing, it would be at the discretion of that other CSB to continue to run that program because they would not be contracted. So therefore, they would all be displaced most likely because nobody wants to take on a $1.6 million debt day one for no reason with no overhead or reimbursement except for at cost. And so that's just a small piece of what the footprint could actually happen. And it will probably expand even more to our developmental disabilities because based on where this entity was located and what their vision was, they may pull back certain services out of some of our rural areas because of just not enough individuals to pick up or to create a load to make it profitable for them and things of that nature. So that's just a small snapshot of what could actually happen. So the mental health treatment will be disjointed from the actual local leadership and the citizens of this community.
Got you. So $1.2 million at the least is what we may have to pick up if somebody else didn't come in and pick it up. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. And if you look at it from a standpoint of $1.2 million in healthcare, it's a very small contribution based on what the average healthcare entity costs. That's more so around $100 million. But because we have certain layered funding that we utilize and we're trying to be very skillful about the type of people that we employ and how we do our training, and we cut costs at all points, it's not a very large ask, but what that is just for infrastructure. And so as we look and go forward, as we just started to increase the amount of programs that we offer, that ask would come down because those would not be reoccurring expenses like an electronic medical record. Once we buy it, we buy it. Vehicles, once we purchase them, they're ours. And so these would not be long-term asks that will continue to be at the burden of this community.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Carter.
Okay. And Director Valentine, in regards to number 18 with the ARC Commission, if you could kind of explain what that comprehensive transportation plan, inclusive of the now transit, I guess, survey or what that would look like and how long that would take.
I'll start with the second part of that.
Okay.
It is a process that normally would take a minimum of a year, more likely 15 months or so. And there would be a stakeholders group that would meet periodically. Once a month is more typical, consisting of residents from throughout the county, some of which will be nominated, appointed by the board, and representatives from various agencies, sheriff and fire department and the like. And essentially, the consultant would be making an assessment of the existing conditions of various elements of the plan, looking at corridors where we know there are some deficiencies, perhaps looking at some specific intersections and the like. And over the course of 15 months or so, there would be a set of remedies that would be developed by the committee, recommendations as to how to address the deficiencies that have been discovered or that have been recognized still exist from the last update that was done in 2010. So it is a rather lengthy, thorough process. It involves all of the components of transportation. It looks at potentially corridors where you might want to have additional trails. It could be bike lanes that are disconnected. It normally does not get into the specific locations of sidewalk disconnects because those tend to be smaller and scattered in a county of this size. But it will also look at the transit component, those services. Where are they housed now? What level of service is being given now versus what are the projections? Because this study will look at the existing conditions and it will look to project where the county is going 20 years from now.
Okay.
So it is a 20-year planning horizon. And what it attempts to do is take a look back at the plan that was adopted, see what was accomplished out of that plan, take a look at the existing conditions, and determine, are we on track to continue some of those efforts that were started back during the last update as part of that plan, or have priorities shifted in the county? Has population density shifted? Are there other corridors that now, because of development, are more likely to be needed to be expanded? And so it's a comprehensive look at all of those components. The question that has arisen as to the transit component is, as there are more and more transit services offered by a county, it takes more effort to do that analysis because it has inherently a lot of capital assets that are involved with that. And there's a lot of background information that goes into that equation. So normally there is an analysis at a higher level of that component as part of the comprehensive plan. But the more services that you have and the more changes there have been in the county development-wise, there could be a lot more effort needed to actually get at what the needs are as it relates to the transit component. So the discussion has been essentially what the level of effort that is normally included in a comprehensive transportation plan for transit may not be sufficient for the county now. And so the ARC and the application that we've made or had made before them included that higher level look at transit, but not a deeper dive, if you will, into the transit needs. And so we will be able to do what was initially envisioned, but now with this additional emphasis, then perhaps we can look at in more detail what the transit needs are, make projections for the future in terms of what other types of needs transit-wise there might be. And so those two components, one is what is required by the ARC, what is normally included, and the other one would be what the county wants to do in addition. The one where we're looking at the basic component is funded 80% by the federal government, federal funds. Anything additional that we do beyond that is typically on the county unless we can find another funding source to match. And we'll explore that as well. So that's the difference between the two analyses or studies.
You did a great job. Thank you so much. And thank you. And if number 19, Keep Douglas Beautiful Litter Prevention Program, Tiffany Stewart-Stanley. Can you tell us a little bit about the grant and if if there is a matching component of it?
Good evening, Commissioners. So the grant that we are receiving is for Keep America Beautiful, and it's from their cigarette litter prevention program. And the main focus of the grant is to make sure that we let people know that cigarette butts are litter, and there is no match.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Are you?
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Carthen.
Madam Chair, point of order, I left out one
Okay?
Okay.
Yes.
Uh,
Commissioner
just-
Mitchell.
Just one last quick, I just have one quick question that I kind of sidetracked. Well, two, I got one. But the first one is, for those individuals that happen to be in our county that may not live in our county, how do we address those individuals? I mean, I know it's a holistic approach of trying to address those that are in need of this particular type of service. But if they're from Cobb or some other county, will there be a bill? Because when I was on the House Public Board, they would actually send a bill, even though you may use the hospital in Fulton County, you'll still get a bill from Douglas County saying that you owe Douglas County X. Is that how this will work, or?
So actually, the answer to that question is no, because we receive federal and state funding.
Okay.
It's non-geographic. It's just
Okay.
if you're a citizen of the state. And so that's how
Okay.
they do it. So, and what BBHED did is they created regions.
Okay.
And so what they do is we're part of Region 1, and so part of Region 1 happens to be Paulding County, Douglas County, and if I'm not mistaken, I want to say Rome area,
Okay.
somewhere up in there. And so what they say is anybody in that area can come to Douglas County to receive treatment,
Got it.
and they'll reimburse. But that is not the case as far as it pertains to things like case management, intensive case management.
Uh-huh.
Those will be more centralized because that's services that are based by mileage.
Okay.
And honestly, I couldn't afford to drive all the way up to Cobb County to service somebody, drive all the way back to Douglas County with what our reimbursement rates are.
So they'll have to be in Douglas County to even get access to the services?
Unless they're deciding to self-transport in and out of the county.
Understood.
So we do have a rule that we can't turn anybody away that's a citizen.
Understood.
So we do have to treat everyone that comes in our door if
And
they
and
are a citizen.
that's, I'm assuming, state law, the way the state govern this?
Correct.
Okay, good. I just know, when I'm looking at Grady and on the hospital board, there was a way that they structured that. Grady got all the patients, but some of the other counties in line got the bill.
Right. No, we're not at liberty to be able to do that as a
Okay,
community
okay.
service board, but
Good.
it's a good idea.
Okay, that's okay. And I'm done, that's last, but I got one other question, not for you, though.
Okay.
This last question, the last statement, I guess I should say. I know Vice Chair Robinson spoke about the disbursement of a few dollars and cents from the 2 meal of the additional $10. And I just want to make sure that for correction purposes, or it may have been stated, but I know you talk about the IT website of $125, but that will be going in the programming committee budget for clarity, Mark, so we won't.
Well, as of today, it's only recommended to go in the programming committee's budget. It's not part of the agenda.
Okay, so,
And it would have to go through the programming committee because it's website design.
right. I just want to make sure that, because when we spoke of IT, that didn't want to get it confused, that it would be in the IT budget
Yes, sir, that's correct.
when approved. Okay, and the other 450 and others, I mean, I'm not overly concerned about that, though. Okay, I yield back.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Mitchell. And I just have one to top it off. I would like the UGA Cooperative Extension staff to come forth, if you could, and Ms. Stansel, if you could. I'm excited about this community garden. If you could just share with the citizens of Douglas County what this garden means for all of us as citizens. Oh, I didn't see you back there. I'm sorry.
That's
Susan
quite all
Culpepper.
right.
Thank you.
Good-
I didn't see you.
Good evening, good evening. So it is a pleasure to be here. We are very excited about this garden. It's not really a new garden, but what our plan is to convert this existing garden, which has been gardened for many, many years, primarily by our Master Gardener Extension volunteers, which Marjorie Stansel is here tonight representing these Extension volunteers. And they have used this as a teaching garden. And from the produce that has been collected, they've donated that locally, thousands of pounds each year for several years. But now the direction we'd like to go is to make this a community garden so that citizens can have a plot or a place there to garden for themselves. And the plan is to offer classes and advice to those citizens who would like to garden at this site.
Okay, thank you so much. Any comments from you, Ms. Stansel? Or?
She covered it.
She covered it all?
The Master Gardener organization that primarily works there is an aging population. And as we get older, we're obviously not able to do some of the manual labor we have been doing. So this is a help for us in that regard also.
Thank you so much. This has been great for Douglas County. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, Board of Commissioners, we have a motion and a second regarding this consent agenda. Please prepare to cast your votes.
Madam Chair?
Before you cast your votes, Commissioners,
Yeah.
Vice Chairman Robinson.
Yeah, I want to clarify so there's no confusion. I got to go back to the TANs, to Commissioner Mitchell III's point. We've talked about this in two subsequent meetings here on this full Board of Commissioners about that TAN and its uses in the 4 buckets, right? We went into Finance Committee and we came up with a formal recommendation for the use of the excess of the $2 million. And we're very clear, 450 for CSB, 125 for IT/website, which go into Rick Martin's programming. I'll clarify that. And also for GDOT, another 125 for, of course, what we just talked about, which was the capital transportation plan augmentation to go further for the 125. So I want to make sure it's clear that the money, we've already made the recommendation, the money is there. There is no delay. I want to clarify what the county administrator says. Well, we're approving this as a condition of this. This is a condition, and that money is available and can be used for that. It just sounds like there was a pause there that says, well, it's a recommendation. Like, no, that's the condition. There's a separation. That's a condition. And so, Madam Chair, I just want to make sure that that's my condition for this. I yield back.
Okay, thank you so much. Commissioners, we have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your votes on regarding this consent agenda.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
So if that is to be included as part of the agenda item, the consent agenda, then the motion would need to be restated and that part would need to be added.
You want to
But Madam Chair, as a point of order, but that's what I said initially. We're getting sidetracked, but I could restate that. But I've been saying that all along. When Madam Guider asked me to clarify, that was in the context of that. But if we need to restate it again, now, again, I'm okay. But, I mean, I just stated it. I just stated it was a condition. You're already in motion. And so, we're already in motion. Were you asking me to pull up? Like, it's already, I mean, do I need to re-amend what I've already stated? We're already in motion.
Attorney Bernard, can you chime in and let us know?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the agenda item. I think there is a motion pending in a second, obviously, and there's been some discussion. The clarity that's been handed, if you vote on the consent agenda as it is currently written out, doesn't have that clarity that was mentioned by Commissioner Robinson. And so I think that's the county administrator's concern, that the record will reflect a vote electronically on something that's not written on the agenda. So I see the 450. I don't know about the rest of the flow of funds, but I think that's what the concern is.
All right, so let me clarify it down. Guys, as many times you said that we can make any change within the condition, a condition within the consent agenda. We can either pull it off or we can make it in there. We have precedent that set this, so why are we being convenient about what I understand the rule. We can make the change within this. We can clarify it. So why are we making this like all of a sudden acting, again, new about, you know how many times we've done this? That we've made changes within the consent.
I can, first of all, I'm not challenging anything. I've just been asked a question, and what I'm saying is there's no such condition in here. So if you vote electronically, you're voting only on the agenda as it's written down. If you'd like to change it, the motion could be to approve it with those comments, and there'd be a hand vote. That's all we're suggesting.
That's all.
Okay. Board of Commissioners, we have a motion and a second regarding this consent agenda with the additional items, and I would like to just take a manual vote for this item to approve those conditions that were discussed earlier. So again, we have a motion and a second. Please indicate by raising your right hand if you approve.
The conditions.
The conditions, yes. Okay. We have a 5-0 vote, and the motion carries. Thank you. So that wasn't as bad as it seemed, so we're good. So thank you so much. Board of Commissioners, thank you so much. We'll move on to the next item. We have approval of your expenses. We had a very educational experience with our recent ACCG conference, and thank you all for attending. Board of Commissioners, I know you had an opportunity to review your expenses.
Madam Chair?
Do we
Have a motion?
do we have a motion?
Can I make the motion?
Yes.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make the motions, and again, I'm going to throw a curveball. Make the motions to approve the expenses as presented with an amendment to District 2's expenses for travel. $53.84 should be in your folder on your desk right now as you're looking at this, to amend District 2's by $53.84 for travel while being in Savannah.
Okay.
And that too would be a hand vote, Madam Chair.
Okay, okay. We have, Board of Commissioners, we have a motion and a second.
I'll
Do we have a
second.
motion? Do we have a motion?
That's Kelly. Kelly
We
made the
have a
motion.
motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second with those items as discussed, that's included for the $53.84 for the travel for Commissioner Robinson. So we have a motion and a second. Please indicate by raising your right hand for the approval of your expenses. Okay, we have a 5-0 vote, and the motion carries. So thank you all again for that. No more curveballs tonight. Okay.
We like curveballs.
I know, it's fun. All right, Commissioner Guider, you have a town hall meeting coming up. Would you please enlighten the citizens of Douglas County about your town hall meeting, please?
Yes, I will be hosting a town hall meeting this coming Thursday, the 23rd, at Ephesus Baptist Church from 6 to 8. And y'all just bring all your questions and your concerns about the community, and I will be there, and I believe the Ms. Chairman will be there.
I will.
And so, and Mark Teal, are you going to be there, Mark?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So just come, and we always have a good turnout in District 4. I'm proud of that. And so I've had several people tell me already they plan on coming. So y'all come on out. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Commissioner Guyton. And Commissioner Mitchell, you have any meeting coming up? Would you please enlighten the citizens about your coffee and conversation that's coming forth?
Sure. Yes, sure. Let me find it.
It's on the last page.
Okay, let's see here. Yes. You're invited out to my coffee and conversation for District 1, and, it's always open up to any and everybody who would like to come by and be a part of that. However, it's Saturday, June 1st, from 10 a.m. until 12 noon, and it will take place at Rose Hill HOA in Lithia Springs, Georgia. For all the details, you can contact me at 770-920-7266 or email me. But again, just come out, enjoy the conversation. There's a lot that's going on that I think, as always, I don't provide any much agenda. I just tend to want to hear what that is that you want to speak on, and we'll talk about it. So come join me. That will be Saturday, June 1st at the Rose Hill HOA in Lithia Springs. And again, if you need further details, 770-920-7266. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Commissioner Mitchell. Vice Chairman Robinson, do you have any announcements before?
No, ma'am.
What about you, Commissioner Carthen? Do you have any announcements? Okay. Well, you all had town hall meetings last month, so thank you for that. Well, our Communications Director, Rick Martin, if you could come forth and just read the remainder of our announcements, I greatly appreciate it.
Sure. Good evening. Excuse me. Good evening, Madam Chair, Board of Commissioners, and staff. The Douglas County Tag Office will be closed on Thursday, May 23rd, and Friday, May 24th. This is a result of a computer systems upgrade called Drives. We have a story about all the details of what drives will do on our website, celebratedouglascounty.com. The tag office will be closed on Monday, May 27th, in observance of Memorial Day. Just to be clear, the Kroger tag office kiosk and online renewals will not be available during this time. So all are encouraged to renew their tags if they have to for the month of May as early as possible. Tag office will be open normal business hours on Tuesday, May 28th. I mentioned Memorial Day. The Douglas County Courthouse and county programs and services will be closed in observance of Memorial Day, except for Douglas County's E911 and the Sheriff's Office, and the Douglas County Fire and EMS as well will be open, as always, to protect and serve our citizens. The Douglas County Department of External Affairs, Douglas County Sheriff's Office, and Georgia Department of Community Supervision will be hosting a forum called Stepping Up Initiatives National Month of Action. This is happening on May 30th at 10 a.m. in Citizens Hall. The forum will focus on how Douglas County is working to reduce the mentally ill population in our jails. For more information, please contact Tiffany Stewart Stanley, our External Affairs Director. Again, the 12th annual Penny McHenry Hydrangea Festival is happening. It's happening in Douglasville, Douglas County, on June 1st and 2nd. It's happening at a new location of Douglas County High School. In addition to the award-winning flower show and garden tours, everyone can look forward to a larger artisans market, food trucks, kids zone, and so much more. The festival is free to attend and open to the public. Costs may be associated with garden tours and vendors. And as part of the 12th annual Penny McHenry Hydrangea Festival, the public is invited to gather for the Hydrangea Festival Hat Parade on the lawn of the Douglas County High School. And that is it for our announcements. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director Martin, for those announcements. We do have one that was missed, and I'll just read it. It's May 16th through June 30th. Join Keep Douglas County Beautiful for the Great American Cleanup. The cleanup ends on June 30th, 2019, and if you would like, you could go to www.keepdouglascountybeautiful.com for more information, or either contact Trabria Cobb at email trabriacobb@codouglas.ga.us. Board of Commissioners, that wraps up our meeting this evening. If there's no further discussion, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.